Let's talk about your assessment of the implementation of the affirmative action. Yes, we celebrate this move by the governor of Taraba State, but if you look across in other states, the story may not necessarily be the same.
We really commend the governor of Taraba State for taking that giant stride. I mean, he has taken the lead, and the expectation is that other governors across the country will also borrow a leaf and do the needful. The issue of that 5% affirmative action is something that a Nigerian government at all levels, should to see to its implementation, because it is one of those instruments and conventions and agreement the Nigerian government has signed and ratified as a member of the United Nations. And coming down here in the country, we have the National Gender Policy that speaks to the issue of the 35%. In our National Gender Policy, Nigerian government decided to peg 35%, provision for women in appointive position. So it is just so natural that government should, respect these documents and begin to see the implementation. But I think women are optimistic. We are looking up to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who during his campaign has assured Nigerian women that he will ensure that 35% appointive positions are reserved for women. Even though in the recent appointments that he did, talking about a special assistant and personal aide, we have not seen that reflected, because in the appointment of his special assistant, we saw only 25% women, and for his personal aide, only 15%. So we are really concerned, but at the same time, we are optimistic, because at this point in the history of our country, it is very important that we should not just bear the name as Giant of Africa, as the largest economy in Africa, but Nigeria should be seen to reflect its true identity in all ramifications, even in the area of inclusion in governance. You can't talk about one of the uniqueness of democracy, democratic system of government is its unique value, of participation. And women constitute almost 50% of the population of this country. You can't talk about democracy and exclude this segment of the society. It is no longer democracy. So I want to believe that Nigeria this time around, the president and governors across board, we actually seek to right this wrong, because Nigeria has been going the wrong direction since our return to democracy in 1999. Right, it is sad to note that even at the National Assembly, from that time to today, over 2,060-something members of the National Assembly that were inaugurated, only 157 are women. And it doesn't speak well of us as a country. And so I believe that for our democracy to be seen as true democracy, the ideals of rule of law, the ideals of participation, true participation of all segments of the people, irrespective of their gender, should be crucial, should be taken into consideration. So Nigerian women, we have been reminding the president and governors across board, and the Taraba State governor has already shone the light. And we are very optimistic. We are waiting to see the ministerial list.
If you can hear me, Ladi. Yeah, well, in brief, what else can we do? We've seen campaigns, we've seen advocacy, we've seen women mobilizing themselves towards achieving this, but it doesn't seem to be that effective. What will it take, really, to get this 35% affirmative action being implemented across board? Hello?
To do that, because already all it requires is the political will to do that, because it is already in our gender policy. It is something that Nigerian government has signed at the international level. So we are already committed to it in principle, but in practice is what we don't have on ground. So all it requires is the political will, and to actually give a human face to the lip service about women inclusion. Women should not just be for, to be involved during the political process. But women should also, after the elections are done, now that it's time for governance, women should actually be brought to the table, because the issues about women and youth and the other marginalized group in the society, only women can reflect that in the policies and programs that government will develop. You can't have a National Assembly that is mainly male dominated and expect, policies and programs that will affect, that will impact the entire society. So it is very, very imperative that at this point in the history of our country, for crying out loud.
All right. Well, thank you, Ladi Bala. Ladi Bala, the the president, Nigerian Association of Women Journalists, NAWOJ. Thank you so much for joining us on the news and sharing your perspectives.
All right, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.